Hey, how you doing? Alrighty then. Let's step this up. I'm gonna be going over a game. The white is James Wee and Alex Machin. Okay. The game starts with e4, e6, e4, e6, d4, or d6. D2. How do I turn these off? There we go. No lines. d4, knight f6, knight c3, and knight bd7. Uh, this is a known. This is known as the black lion opening. The goal is to reach a Philidor while keeping the queens on the board. Hey, how you doing? So we're going over a game, and it's from the Norman Fryman Memorial, Boise, Idaho, October 13th, 2018. These are two, they're not high-rated players, they're about average players, but I wanted to go over the game continuation with you. This is the person who played this as black is playing the black lion variation. And this one is it's getting like a Philidor's position, but with the queen still on the board. So knight f3, e5, and bishop excuse me, bishop c4, bishop e7, and castle kingside. Oops, for white. He says that potentially, rather than castles, bishop to f7 would have actually been a better idea. Black keeps constantly being aware of the weak f7 square. The following sequence shows an idea to be aware of in the current position. It isn't sound if black reacts correctly. So if black takes on f7, king takes f7, knight g5, it's kind of like a Greek gift but on the f7 square. King g8, knight e6, queen e8, knight takes, takes c, queen g6, knight takes a, queen takes g2, rook f1, and e takes d, queen takes d4, and knight to e5. Oh, sorry, knight e5. And this is actually much better for black in this line. It's really, really powerful for black. If what's that? Alrighty. Second. Alrighty then. Sorry. I've had a little. Can I get a drink of water? Sorry. Sometimes I get water from, or a little bit of my juice there. Sorry about that. Okay. Ooh. Alrighty. Okay, I'll keep that in my on my thing there. Hey, how you doing, Play the Grub? We're going over a game from like last year, but it's the Black Lion. What's the Black Lion variation? And so it's a pretty interesting. This is actually the line, and we'll go over it real quick. So this is what was actually played in the game. And then castles. But he said that the author, the author said though that potentially if white had played this sacrifice, it's actually bad for white. It's better for black because even with proper taking, like something like this there, takes G, knight. You think you're winning material, but in reality you're losing here. Queen takes, rook f1. E takes, and then queen takes, and this is actually really positionally bad for black. I mean for white, sorry. Really positionally good for black, bad for white. Surprisingly, it's like he's up a whole rook, right? But the position is just bad. Really bad. And with e5, there's what really could black do? Even if the knight somehow by chance gets out, you have a problem with the knight coming in here. So you just got a really bad sitch going. So but that didn't happen. He actually castled here. Let's see, what did I get that right? So castles on move 6, yep. C3, C6 was played, pawn C6. Bishop E3, because the idea is actually to play D5 and basically just, it's kind of like a reverse French, but black's the one actually putting the pressure on white. And then his bad bishop would be his dark square bishop, not his. Oops, sorry, gotta get rid of that. How do I delete move? Would be his bad bishop. Would be this right here. Okay, bishop e3. This is covered two times, so you don't have to worry. This square is covered twice, so no worries there. Queen c7. This and by the way, this is by all means these aren't grandmaster players. Yeah, it's kind of, by all means these aren't grandmaster players. These are just like intermediate players. So this is actually from one of just like a club, one of the clubs that sometimes I get newsletters from. And so these if you're wondering why it's like, if it's not like these super sacrificial moves, that's why. I just thought, you know what, why not for a change look at what the average player is playing and thinking and hear from what they're saying, because the cool thing is sometimes they'll actually write notes in what they're actually thinking. So that's really nice to hear what the feel of the chess world's like at the moment. H6, A4, Knight G4, and this is an interesting type of setup because black's putting the pressure. I want to go for a kingside attack. This idea makes sense if white has a pawn, if no, I want to go for a kingside attack. This idea makes more sense if white has a pawn on h3, which would act as a target for black's pawns. The following sequence shows how this could develop. So he actually played b4 here. White gives up the bishop in order to speed up his queenside expansion. Let me see here. I hope I have this. Yeah, I got this right. Okay, everything's right so far. So let me see here. If bishop d2, this was a line that he was talking about. a5, h3, knight g8 here, bishop e3. Wait a second, bishop e3. Uh-oh, did I mess up something? What did I mess up here? No, I don't think. Let me see here. Did I forget a move? a5, c4, that's right. So, oh, snap. See, how do I move a piece? Sorry about that. I gotta reset this up. I mismoved. That's a problem. For some reason I thought it was e4. Just give me a sec. We'll get this set up right. Let's see. Promote to promote the main line. d6. Sorry about this. d4. Knight. I knew there was something wrong. This didn't look right. There we go. Now this looks more like the black lion variation. For some reason there we go. Now we're getting more to familiar territory. Loving it. And now castles. Okay. Now c6. Yeah. I knew it kinda. I knew there was something. Something didn't feel right in the position. Now we'll get to the part where we were talking about. Some of those lines now make a little bit more sense. Ugh. Tells you one wrong move can really mess up the situation. That shows you that even if in our games, you have to be careful on your move sequences, because if you miss one wrong move, you get in deep trouble. Deep trouble. Now that makes sense why he gives up his bishop when he said he gave up the bishop. But let's go back to move 6 because I want to see it actually now 100% on. You got to bear with me here. I want to see now the difference. This makes a lot more sense now of an attack here with this. Rook f1, e takes, and then queen takes d, and knight to e5. Yeah, now it makes sense because the other line was horrendous. I was like, I don't believe somebody would actually play that line. That would be a horrible line because that sets up for a bad attack. Alrighty. So that was what would happen on move 6. So we will get back to move 10. I just wanted to see the difference. And you gotta always be on guard too. That they were saying if white didn't want to play, let's say he didn't want to play b4, like this would actually surrender the bishop. You can actually save your bishop with bishop d2. This is a line that he was talking about. a5, h3 to kick the knight back. Knight g e6, knight g f6, and then now bishop back to e3. Knight f8 because you're trying to transpose a knight over into g, or potentially go g5 and then bring your bishop in. And it kind of is it sets up for a potential kingside attack setup too. If you transpose the knight here, you do potentially, well, you'd have to transpose it here kind of, then play there, but kind of quirky. So okay, fd1 now g5, exactly what, hey, cool. I was kind of thinking the way he was thinking. This is kind of the kingside attack, but black has to really be careful here. He's got to get his pieces untangled before and then maybe he can get queenside castled, maybe. But this is a way to save the bishop, but white put aside all of that and said, I'm okay with giving up my bishop pair. So black just took the bishop pair off, one of the pairs, f takes, and then now black castles. And b5 is actually played here. Oops, b5 is played. White is trying to exploit my lack of development. This is actually black talking. Development by white by opening up lines. If white achieves nothing, then the opening of the position could actually basically turn on him, and white and black's bishop here would actually come out stronger. So if this basically opening up of the queen side, this queen side here, turns out to be a faulty setup for for white, these bishops will actually become super duper strong because an open position is really powerful for black because he has the two bishops. Oops, that wasn't the move, so I gotta delete that move. So a knight to b6 was actually played, and then a5. I was happy to see this move. I was fearful of his bishop retreating and only then push a5. So he was kind of fearful that what would happen is the bishop would actually retreat and then he would go a5. And then this move would be kind of a dubious move at that point. The knight move would be dubious. So he did a5. Now he fully gets the two bishops. So black fully gets the two bishops. So now it's a true full imbalance of the two knights versus the two bishops. At this moment it's pretty much equal because of the position's pretty much closed. He does have the two bishops, but unless black can find some central freedom, it won't happen. Yeah, white has the reason that white even stands a chance is like what you're saying, play the grub. The center is pretty rock solid at this moment. There's nothing going to cause the center to open, and potentially with some trades and maybe some more trades and then a push, the center will forever be closed, and it will make these bishops look very awkward. Let's just say they won't be doing their wonderful sniping like they would love to. They can't find any spots to snipe from. Okay, so we took, queen takes, bishop d7. A6 is played here, so white's going all out berserk now. The point of white's play is to secure the d5 square. So to secure d5, so that when this takes and that, this takes and this takes, that will end up becoming a really beautiful outpost. Yeah. So to secure the d square as an outpost after a couple captures on b7 and c6, this may look impressive, and it is. But don't forget black's bishop pair. So black still has this bishop pair, and so that's what black, that's not the move I want. Delete. It's very sensitive board. Okay, A to C8. Rook FB1. White's trying to, now that there's really nothing to exploit on the king side, white's trying their hand on the queen side. Sometimes you gotta shift. This is a clear error, he said, because the majority of the pieces are actually pointing, he says, on the king side. So in theory, this is actually, you're lessening the defenders. But I think at this moment, you also have to be really careful with taking too, because b6 was actually played. I'm wondering if taking here doesn't do anything. Let's see. That actually is not a good move, I guess, supposedly for... So that I should lose, so that's not a... So we don't really want that. Let's see, where did I... A6, hold on. Okay. Winning fork on d4. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, I was just looking at a line that I was thinking of. Okay, so he actually played b6 too. Yeah, b6 was actually played. The reason b6 was played, he says, was to release the kind of tension on c6 here, so that d takes. Let's see, d takes e. I don't know if that was the best idea. D takes e. I think this actually now benefits. Oh yeah, when I after this, yeah, after here, yeah, here. Oh, right here, yeah. Yep. Yep, there you go. Yep, that's you got to be always on the lookout for that. Yep, that's right. So b6 was played. C takes d. C takes d. And then rook d1 to exploit an attack along the open file. Bishop e6. Now this bishop, why didn't it do that? This bishop's the bishop's attacking the queen. So now you're going to see black be very mobile. Queen takes c6. Queen takes c6, pawn takes c6, of course, and then rook takes c6. And now I think this knight, potentially he could, oh wow, this knight is hanging, isn't it? Boy, white's in a, I gotta say, white's in a world of hurt right now. Black's starting to bring the hammer down. And it isn't a velvet hammer, it's a sledgehammer. Oh boy, not good. So d5. White's trying to get the pieces on kind of if black would sillily take, which I don't think he will. Bishop f6. They were talking that knight b5 might have actually been better. Nice move with a similar threat. I was planning to basically go rook a8 at this point. He was going to go rook a8, or they were going to go rook a8. And the goal to remove the knight from b5, but basically something like this, to remove the knight from b5 and try to get this pawn going. But he played knight d5. Let me see here. Bishop f6. Bishop f6. And he actually played rook d2. An interesting line would actually have been knight takes e5. That's what they were saying. This would be an interesting tactic. Knight takes e5. Bishop takes d5. Hold on. What am I missing here? Knight takes e5, right? Bishop. Oh, bishop takes. Okay, wrong takes. Sorry. Wrong takes. Delete. I had the wrong takes. Okay, bishop takes. E takes. Let's see. Bishop takes here. E takes D. And rook takes c2. Knight d7. Bishop takes a1. Knight takes f8. And king takes here. And then rook takes. And king e7. After the smoke cleared, black is left with a better endgame because of his active king. His more active king is better. And I would also say that the players should have added that black has less pawn islands. That's why he's better. But he played, instead of that, knight rook d2. So rook f to c8. Rook f c8. This is to take scope on c2. Oops, sorry. That wasn't the played move. Okay. Oh, knight takes is going for this here, and of course, white trades his active knight for my bishop, which wasn't really doing much. Not a good trade. My structure has been damaged on the king side, but not to worry. White is tied up on the defense of the c2 pawn. White is tied up on the defense of the c2 pawn. So knight e1 to guard this pawn here. Okay. Rook f4. Now we're taking scope on this and that. King f2. Rook takes e4. So he picked up a pawn, king f3, but the king is active. Actually, you're very close to the ratings. Really, really close. Let me see here. So move 26. No, 6. Okay, rook ec4. Rook a3. He's trying to mobilize somehow in. I don't like white's position. I think white's position's almost purely lost. King f8. h3. King e6, re7, rook a1. He may try to reroute in here and just gambit that pawn. d8. Trading off white's only active piece. Rook takes. King takes. I think that, though, I don't really like this trade right here. I think he should have doubled up with his rooks first and made a black trade so that at least this would be holdable. But I think this also frees up this bishop to hammer that pawn, so not good, not good. King takes, okay. Rotates, king takes, king e2. Bishop d7. Now we're trying to, he's trying to get his bishop here. That's where he wants to get the bishop to. D7, king d2. Now he's trying to hold and cover with his king. Rook a4. And with pawns on both sides of the board, I think that was not a bad idea. But it does relieve a lot of black's this does relieve a lot of attack, though, that black's losing out. This rook is a really nice piece. But you know what? If you're kind of concerned about it, it never hurts to just trade it off. And c4. But now this actually pawn becomes powerful. The c pawn can now become a bone in the throat. Bishop c6 keeps this knight at bay, but you can easily push this pawn here, though. So, yep, g4. There we go. And then bishop to e4. Now it's really interesting. Black is better, but white is now starting to survive a little bit as well, a little bit better. This is survivable now for white. Queen e2. He's gonna try to. It's still kind of hard, though. There's a lot of pawns on light squares, so I still prefer black. Giving myself the opportunity of exchanging minor pieces if black knight moved. I had a feeling I was winning at this point. Anyway, he is winning at this point. My opponent thought he was losing in a king and pawn endgame. He avoided it at all costs. Like back here, right here, this is a line that he was talking about. Bishop takes, king takes, king d7. Now we get to do our endgame. Black is clearly winning with an evaluation of they said 4.3 according to Komodo. Actually, Komodo said was actually an 11. Black has 3 different pawn breaks. That gives him a big advantage. First, there's a possible h5 Kazam. I wouldn't do that though. Which has the main idea of deflecting off f5 so that he could basically push and f5. If white takes the pawn, this allows black to gain a pass pawn by simply sorry, wrong pawn. Sorry, that was h pawn. F here. Wrong arrow. This is what they're talking about. So, and if white takes pawn, okay, allows black to gain the pass pawn. This allows pass pawn, but similar pushing the f4 if white doesn't oblige or remove the tension is held between h and g in the h and the g square. So this tension right here and this tension is this push is kind of like a very vital thing. If the king gets here, it can cause a lot of problems. So the simple pushing f4, okay, I got that there. Black can force the issue by playing f5, like what we talked about, which would double the g4, white or undouble his pawns basically. If you can get a king here, it would undouble his f pawns. Moving, the next main idea is that he keeps talking about his f5 break in this. If white exchanges it off, black's king can become active. After trading off, black can acquire the f5 square for his king after king e6. And the f file to basically he'll end up getting a passed pawn on this file here. Basically this pawn will end up becoming a passer, and then he can use that to lure the king away so he can gobble these 2 pawns up here and potentially these 2. So okay, here's the continuation of that's what he was planning on if he was to take, but this is actually what was played. White didn't want to go down that losing line, so he just moved his king to e2. Let's see if we're still, hold on, where am I at? Did I turn too many pages? Hold on, I gotta make sure I didn't. Okay, we're on 34. Okay, good, here we go. King e2, that's right. So I gotta turn the page. Just hold on. Yeah. King c7 was actually played here, and he's trying to enter in here. King d2, and king c6, king c3. So these are just moves. King c5, and then king b3, b5, c takes b, king takes b, and h4, trying to lock down the position for dark squares, but it's not going to work. He's actually, in my opinion, totally lost here. King takes a6, a4, king b6, king b4, a6, h5. This knight is dominated by this bishop here. If I know you know that if a bishop is 2 squares away from the front like this, it dominates all these squares. So this light square bishop is dominating. Okay, where are we at? So h5, a5 check, king a4, king a6, king a3, king b5, king b3, king a4. Let me see here. What is he playing? King a4 check, king c3, king c5, king b2. This is actually totally losing. King b4. Opposition has been passed now, so he has to go there. a3, king b3. 1 second. King b. That's, hold on. I want to make sure it's move 50. Hold on. King a2. All right. Hold on. So move 50. King a. All right. King a1. King b3. And then he plays g5, his last ditch effort. Stalemate is his only hope. F takes g. Knight f3. Bishop takes e4. He's really close to stalemating. King c3 to allow the king to get away. King b1. King d3. King a2. King takes e4. Takes e3. King takes e4. King takes a3. And g4. King b3. g3. c2. I think he's just playing on with for reserves. And then c3 and g2, and black resigned here. Black actually resigned. Or black won, I mean white resigned. Yeah, black was the higher level player here, so it actually worked out. Now we're gonna go over a couple puzzles, and I'll set it up. I wanted to do it on this. This is kind of a funner one. I'm gonna set it up here. Oh yeah, we're gonna well, go over this game at the very end. Okay, here's a puzzle I want to set up for everyone to see what they. Oops, hold on. Let me see. Good. All right. Let's do it to it. Board editor. Clear the board. Okay. Pawn. There. Okay, we got 2 rooks we gotta put there. Right here. And right there. Gotta do pawns for white now. Boom, boom. Now we gotta do the kings. Here, put the rooks. Where's black's king? There we go. Let's see, I gotta make sure I have this right. Hold on. This is actually a, was from a game. It's a puzzle. It's Kasparov versus, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'll just spell it. Polugaevsky, Moscow, 1979. Okay, it's black to move here. I want to make sure I have this all set up right, because if it's not set up right, it's not going to look right. Let's see. So far, so good. So far, so good. All right. Actually, I'm sorry, I'll spell it out. P O L U G A E V S K Y. I think that's the proper spelling. Let me see. Yep. That's who's playing black. So it's black to move. The following shows how a single mistake can be fatal. So what is the? Oops, hold on 1 second. Gotta flip it so it's white. White's board. Good. Sorry about that. Okay, it's black to move here, and black played a bad move. Black played a bad move here. So what would you think is a bad move for black here? This is a puzzle for you. Uh, Close. That would be a bad move as well. But just think of a worse move than even that. Think of a move that Gary Kasparov basically would just punish totally. Yes, you got that. That was the blunder. Yes, this was the blunder move that totally he schooled him with. This is a natural move, but it leads black into a trap. Black has to play. Do you know what black has to play here? What is black's only move line? I'll be right back. Give a line that black has to play, and think about that line. What does black have to play after? Hold on. What in the world? 1 second. I want to make sure I did this right. Sorry. Back here. This was a bad move. What's the only basically move that black can play to somewhat save here? And then we'll go over what. I'm sorry. Yeah. We'll go over. This is the only saving move. What I'm trying to save for black. Black played the other move, and we'll go over that line. But the author said there's one move that saves the game for black. One. And black, of course, because it's really complicated, missed it. So I'll be right back. Look at the board. Find the only saving move for black. So you're thinking king king h7. Almost. Yeah, I think that might be the best. Let's see here what actually potentially the best saving move is. Hold on. Yep. So that was okay. So king the actually best move to save the position was actually king takes g7, and black would play rook g1, king h7, f6, king g8. Well, it's the only move that would save the position. Rook takes, and then rook takes with a slightly better endgame for white, but it's not death. What this is actually death. That move killed white. I shouldn't say that, but I mean it did. It finished white. I mean finished black off. This move is tremendously bad. It got a question mark. It's not like a blunder, but trust me, when you make a mistake and get Garry Kasparov, you're going to wish you hadn't have done that. So what move did Garry now play? This is an exclam move. So try to work it out, and if you need help, just let me know and I'll put like 4 or 5 moves in for you to take a look at. Do your best and make a good decision, and close, but try thinking, what would Garry play here as white? What would Garry play here as white? Think of restrict. Think of restrict. What would be a restricting move for white? And also think of I think it's a 5-move tactic too. This move sets up for a 5-move tactic. Think of restrict and sacrifice. Restrict and sacrifice. One second. Excuse me. Excuse me. One second. I need to get a drink. I had a tickle there. I hate when I get tickles. Sorry. Didn't mean to cough in the mic. One sec. I'll get a drink of my sparkling water and it'll be better. Much better. Yes, f6. If he takes, and black plays h7. What is the move? What is the move that wins here? Yep. Okay. Finish it. Finish him off. Finish him off. Give the final last 2 moves. Yep. King. You're so good so far. Okay. He goes king f6. Now what do you play? Yeah. Make a queen. That's right. Now. I think this is probably where they probably would have longer lines, but this is totally winning for white. So this move was played, and black didn't fall for that trap. Yeah, black didn't fall for that trap. What's another move that black could potentially play? It's still it's the he didn't, let's just say he didn't take here. He did not take there. What did black play? Well, think check. What would be a good checking move? Because black does have these two files dominated. So here and here. Yep, F2. We'll promote that to the main line. Okay, and then the king went up to D6. And so, what would you think that black would play here? You have to constantly think, yeah, exactly, because you're right. Because white wants to play rook c8, and of course we see that line is basically is going to be the game over for black. So king d4. So what move would you say that black would play here? Almost. Think check. Think check. Check on the king. Yep. Exactly, that's what was actually played. King takes. And now what does black have to finally do with his rook? Yep, that's right. And now rook takes here. Yep, it was a sad move. Now what is what? And now this pawn is protected by the rook. So what is the? That's funny. Okay, but it continues on. Okay. What is after takes? What does black have to play to at least somewhat keep the position going? What does black play out of inertia? D3 would be an interesting move. Think of another check though, a different type of check. That too, but think of another the last one, the very last check. There's one more check. There's check here, check there, or check here. So which one of these checks would he do? We've already tried D8. We've tried D3. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's right. King d4. So what does black play here? He'll eventually run out of checks, but just think of white needs to get one thing, a safe haven. So black's gonna play here. Now where would you play for white? We'll switch to your white now. I'll play as black, you play as white. What would you play here for the king? Yep, okay. So you would check, right? So now what would white play here? Yep, c2. And what's the last move that wins for white? Yep, and Gary's king safe. But actually, that's what would have been played. Let me see here. E5. I want to make sure I have all this right. King C. He actually went C5 here. Oops. Hold on. Hold on. C5. I think that was a typo. Let me see. D. Okay. Oh, D4. Hold on. D4. F. Okay. And then he actually went C5 in this line here. What the book says, and then E5. King B6. King E6. And then King B6, and that can't be right. King B6. Okay. King E6 and oh, Rook C6 here. He played this line. I gotta get rid of that because that would have been mate. This is actually the line here. And Black resigned because he ran out of checks here. He says the example we have just experienced shows how important it is that each player properly evaluates the concrete threats. That's what he says. Although White's king was subject to many checks, he had properly calculated that in the end he could escape. Expert chess players know when to ask, what does my opponent threaten? Having identified the threat, they then determine if they are serious, if the threats are serious and must be defended against, or whether they are just more than basically hot air. And yeah, he also talks about in here threats. A threat is an attack against an enemy unit, including checks, is an example of a simple threat, well known to any beginner. Other simple threats involve lines that lead to favorable material exchanges. We can combine two or more similar threats. Then we have a complicated threat, a complex threat. For example, two powerful complex threats are double attacks and discovered attacks. Yeah, that's what he said a threat is in there. So you know what? If you ever wondered the kind of what certain complex threats are, no, Gary is actually the one who was Gary was the one who was white. Gary was white here. The other guy was black. So Gary actually ended up mating his opponent. Yeah. Yeah, King A5. I knew there was something amiss there. Yeah, that would have been bad. But it didn't happen, so I got to retract the idea. It says the importance of making threats. This is actually what was in the book, and then we'll get on to we will look at. I have a example of just one game that I'm going to put in, and another one. I just want to show you one from now. Now this is the importance of making a threat. It is obvious that if you threaten to play a move that will win decisive material or checkmate the opponent, then the opponent must take measures to prevent it, no matter what his plan might be. If you threaten, if threats followed one upon another, if a threat is followed one upon another, basically like an avalanche, then the opponent has no time to realize a counter plan. This is why the player with the more active position is considered to have the advantage. and all else being equal. That's what it says. Because the more active position makes it possible to create more threats, as in the following example. We'll go over this. It's another Kasparov game, but we'll go over it in just a second. I wanted to show you this one game here. It's in here. It's called Exploiting Small Advantages. Okay. Let me get to that game. All right, here we go. Let's pull up a board. Analyze board. Hold on. What in the world? Where? Oh, okay. All right. Hold on. I have to set this up. Just give me a second. This is exploiting a weakness in a position that they're talking about. I thought it was a game, but it's actually a position. And positions are fine. We need to look at how to exploit a weakness, so that when we play, we'll have a good kind of backbone on what to look at. Okay, oops, I gotta move that pawn there. Okay, here, let's put a knight there, and queen, queen there, and king here. I believe that's good. Let me see, hold on. Okay, so good so far, so good so far. This is actually a game, this was a position, it's a queen ending with Tim Man versus Larson, and it's in let's see, it was played in 1979. Seems like all the good games were. I'm just joking. There's a lot of good games out there. Okay, we'll look at that one too. This is white to move here. So E4 was played. King F8. Queen A5 check. A5 check. Wait a second. Oh, takes A5. Sorry. Queen takes A5. Queen takes B3. Queen C5 check. So we're checking the king. King F7. Bishop C2 to protect this pawn and attack the queen. Queen D5 and queen to B4. Timman skillfully looks for new weaknesses in his opponent's camp to attack on black's king. So this move here is a very skillful idea, because he's actually taking scope on B7, and he's able to shift his king over to G4. So he has two ideas going at once. Yeah, you were right on that. So black played D7 to try to guard both threats. So black actually guarded both threats with one move. Bishop B3 check, but was that the real threat? You have to always ask yourself that. Queen King G6. F6. They're saying F6 loses to Queen to F8. And basically he has to start walking forward, and mate would arise. So he has to actually go G6. Queen to E4 check. So now we're putting pressure. See, if the queen was to block here, this would actually be a tremendous blunder, because you actually pick up a piece here. Because if you move, you actually could take here and then you pick up a piece. So that would be a bad blunder if the queen intercepted. So king g6, check. Let's see what's the next one. King f6, promote to mainline. Queen h4, slice and dice. King g6, queen e4 again. King f6, and then king g2. Black should have tried. He said he actually played king. He played knight to c7, which was a mistake. They're saying that this was an exclam move. This would have given Black at least some counter chances, but he played this dubious move, knight c7. So queen f4 was now you gave Timon more targets. Are you serious? You don't do that. He's not going to be happy. Now that this knight blocks the access to the queen here, this will win a pawn. King d8. Queen takes the pawn. Now this is a pass pawn. So white's totally winning. White's positional advantage has been transformed into a material one. Bishop, queen d3, c5. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Queen b4. And then c5 was actually an exclam move. This was an exclam. And this was a counter exclam. Because what would happen is if the queen, which the queen has to trade, the bishop trades, and now this pawn is barricaded, or is stopped, and this pawn can run. So the queen, the bishop stops Black's runner, and White's runner is free to roam up the board at least to a6, which would cause some chaos and allow the king to come in and infiltrate for an attack. Let me see here. Okay, knight e8. King f3. King c7. a5. Knight d6. Bishop d5. 1 second. Hold on. Let me get a drink real quick. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. King c5, a5, knight d6, bishop d5, king b8, king f4, king a7, king e5. Now we're going to try to kick this knight out. Knight b5. Bishop c4 and a6. King 8, and then I will propose to you, my friends, what do you think the best move for white is here? This is an exclam move. You're a grandmaster now, so think what a grandmaster would play. Almost that would be a good move, but think and you're using the right piece. But think threat. Think threat. Think positional advantage. So you have the knight locked down, you have the king locked down. This pawn is about to fall, but think how you can actually get a pass pawn. Think, because this pawn will fall. You have to stop this pawn. So what would be the best move at this point for the king? You don't want this pawn to run, because he will get this pawn. So what would be the best move? Yes, you are right, and that's an exclam move. That is an excellent move. They're saying though that potentially this move here, king takes, and king d5, c4, a, c3, a, c2, queen, queen, and the oldest trick in the book right here, one of these things, right? But it doesn't allow for, would also have won, but the move more played in, it's more precise. What the king did here, what we played was actually a more precise move. King takes here, king takes c5, knight c3, and then bishop to d5. Knight d1, f4, knight f2 to go after this pawn, f4, f2, king d4. Because what are we trying to do? Let's say that black blundered it played here. What would we do here? What would you do here? This is just, I looked at this and I thought about it. This is kind of like a blunder. This is a blunder. Where would you move the white king to basically prevent the knight? King b5, yeah, that would work. But what would happen if we moved our king in? Like, so let's say here, and now he can't go here. So now e6, and if he tries this, we come in, and there's no way to save the knight. And even if he takes here, you take here, and the knight is still entombed. So that's why he didn't take the pawn. King b4, bishop f3, knight takes h3, king e3. Now the knight's basically trapped. g5, f5. Yeah, c5 would actually, let me see here. Hold on, f5. Sorry, give me a second here. This has to be promoted to the main line. Sorry, I have to promote this to the main line. g4 was actually played, and they're saying that if c5 was played here, or c4 was played, sorry, c5, it fails to bishop to g4, and there's no way for the knight basically to leave. He could potentially, but then he gets trapped. So the knight's trapped. So g4 was played. Bishop takes g4. G takes G4, knight takes knight G4, king D4 to prevent the king from coming in. King B3, bishop H5, king C2, F6, king D2, F7, knight E6, king E5, knight F8, and then king D6. And White resigned. This is how Timman won. He created new weaknesses. This is what they said. Number one, Timman created new weaknesses in his opponent's position, paralyzed them with threats, like we just read about what threats are, to Black's king, transposed the position to an advantage into one that was material. He was up one pawn. 3. Transposed into a winning minor piece endgame. Bishop is perfect with running pawns. Shiramitsu talks about that. Very simple. Wouldn't you agree? That's what he says. A very simple. Wouldn't it? He actually did that. So now we're going to look at the game that you proposed, and we're going to take a look at that. And that's this is a game from that Play the Grub brought to us. It's Ding Lauren versus Alexander. Very high level. Okay, so which side are we looking at it from? Which side do you want to look at it from? White or black? White. Okay. D4, knight F6, C4, G6. Yep, that's right. Bishop, F3 and C5, and then D5, D6, E5. There we go. This massive structure of pawns. It's the Indian anti-Grunfeld Alekhine variation. A6 was played by Alexander. He's trying to break up the pawn chain. Knight C, he takes, and C takes, and so. But I like things, yeah. Oh, a Shamish Benko. Oh, Benoni. A Shamish Benoni. And so, if you notice, they're developing their pieces to their optimum location. And you know what? Think about it. We're like, oh no, he moved the same piece twice. You know what? If it calls for that, you can do it. If it calls for moving the piece twice, do it, because it makes this bishop more active. This knight now has an idea of going Harry the H-pawn up the board. So H5 is played. Grushchuk actually is like, not gonna let Harry go wild up the board. Nope, 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 nope. Bishop E2. Knight H7. This allows for a potential castles and F5 to kind of take advantage of Ding's king in the middle. F1, check, G3. So what Grushchuk basically thought about was this, that by checking he weakened the H3 square. So in theory he potentially could put a knight on H3 now and have it entrenched there indefinitely. So when this knight moves to like b6, knight could actually come into h3 and have this bishop as a protectorate. So knight e3, castles, a4, e5, castles, and bishop. Or the bishop could stick itself in there. Either way. Either way. It's a nice little outpost that was created by a queen check. So Ding's going to have a little bit of a problem getting this thing ousted. He's going to have to basically go rook e1 and then bishop f1. So he's going to waste basically 2 moves to get to oust a bishop, and the bishop's going to be like, when that bishop gets there, this bishop's going to say, "See ya, I wouldn't want to be ya," and they left. And it's not going to trade off. That'd be silly. So it's just going to go hello. It's going to go right in there, and then just say, "I'm glad your pieces are not coordinated anymore. Now it's my turn for the attack." Rook e1. Okay. Oh, bishop d2. So he's not actually worrying about this. Very wise on Ding's part. Rook a3. He's trying to see if he can't get potentially an outpost here. That would be a nice outpost. f4. Nice tactic. That's a sweet tactic. He's now taking that's a beautiful tactic there. Nice. And now this bishop's under fire, and the bishop's basically trapped. Where to go to? He can't go here, and so if you go here, he loses material, and Ding has the piece trapped. So he actually picks up a pawn for free. C4, bishop f3. So that was a sweet, nice move there by Ding. Good job. And this is now under fire, so we can actually potentially bring our queen in and start taking scope on that weak c pawn. Yeah, he traded off because he's up actually 2 pawns here for the piece. And his Ding's rook wasn't really doing very much. His minor pieces, because closed position, is a lot more valuable right now. So that's why he gave up his rook. Was his minors are doing better. Knight cd1, f5, king f2, takes. Now the queen's under fire, so the queen's going to move. And the bishop is... Now you see how vulnerable the king is. There's actually 4 pieces that are trying to protect the king. And Ding has, I don't really think any, protecting his king. So knight f6, rook c4, bishop, queen e7, knight takes bishop, g takes, and king to f2. Now the king is nice, snuggled up close to all of his soldiers. He's not having any problems anymore. He feels all nice and cushy. And his bishop's like, "Don't worry." His knight's like, "Don't worry. Everything is okay. We're here. There's nothing's gonna happen. The bishops are like, we got you covered. There's nobody that's going to hurt you, so don't worry about it. Rook c8. And do not trade off. Bishops, that's important. a5. Bishop d1. Bishop f. This is he's going after this pawn here. Rook takes, takes, queen takes. So now it dings up a pawn, one pawn. Not anymore. Boom. And in comes the knight. So now this knight's under fire. Queen e7. You got to be really careful here, because if knight takes and if he wants, he could get mated. So if Alexander wanted a perpetual, he's got oh, that's not check. If he wants a perpetual, he has a perpet. So that's why Ding went king to king f1 to cover e2. Knight e1. Knight c5. King f3. And now we're trying our darndest to get some scope here. I think the reason, let's see, why didn't he just take there? Maybe it has something to do with rook b1. I think it might have something to do with rook b1 in the pin. Yeah, this is not a very pleasant setup for sure. Because after rook trades, bishop trades, you have a potential queen infiltration. And that would not be fun. So that's kind of why he played that, was he's preparing to give the king a spot to flee to and go after the pawn. Oh yeah, you're right. That's right. Not bad there. Yeah, you're right. If he goes b1, you just win the... Yeah. I gotta keep my eye out on that one. Takes. Check. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and rook f3. King g2, queen e2, king h3, rook takes, f, queen takes, and then queen takes d2, queen f6, king g, queen g6, king h, king takes the pawn, knight d3, queen h, oops, sorry, okay, check, check, he does potentially have this, but I don't think it's good enough. Hey, how you doing? He maybe has, no, really there's nothing he can do but check there. Interesting setup though. This move covers here and all the checks. He wants him somehow. We somehow have to get a check. Let me see here. There we go. C1. And yeah, it's all over now. I really don't see any way. Ding really did a good job here. Truly that was. We're going to set up now. There's a, we're going to do some forcing moves. I'm going to set up a position. Hold on. Let's, hold on, did we already do this? Yeah, we did that one, so we did that. I'll pull up another board. Hold on. Come on, alright, clear the board. Oops, that would help. Okay. So far so good. So now we gotta do the rooks. 2 bishops. I'm gonna make sure I have this all right. Hold on. Now this is a, it's white to move here. This is Joel Benjamin, and he's playing this game as white, and Jeremy Silman is playing this game as black. This way it says, my opponent, one of the greatest American chess teachers and writers, who no doubted looked forward to enjoying his bishop pair against his 15-year-old rival. So these guys have actually been playing for a long time. The tactical idea utilized a discovered attack, a Zugzwang, and a fairly basically compared. So he actually what he wanted to do was white wanted to play knight to here, but he says that he has to set up for it. The bishops would capture my knight and defend the rook on d8. The idea only works with a stunning move. What's the most forcing? This is a double exclam move. This is a double exclam move. This is kinda, I know you can do it. I'm gonna give you a second. White to move, double exclam. His idea is he somehow wants to get here, but you have to set up for it properly. It has to be a double exclam move. Actually, not F5. Look for a even even deeper. It's a 1, 2, 3, 5 move. It's a 5 move combination you have to see. So I'll be right back. Just look for that and see the whole entire board and work it all the way out. I'll write in 4 moves for you to choose from, or 5 moves for you to choose from. Hold on. Which one out of those moves would you think is a double exclam? I put 5 moves out there for you to choose from. You're so close. There's one more move. See, there's one more move you need to find. So close. You got one more move in that line. You gotta find one more. And the final move is the another exclam. I'll play it out, and then we'll get to the point where. Oops, hold on. Yeah, sorry about that. Wrong takes. And now, what's the final move that wins? There's one move. Almost. That's a good move, but you have to prepare it. How do you prepare the move? What would you move? I'll throw. Yes, exactly. G4. G4. G4 is the correct move, and White went on to win in that structure. This is what it says. White went on to win in the structure, but that's beyond the scope of this. Jeremy Silman did not basically recognize, that's what he said, that the knight could dare to enter onto a square so basically off limits. That's what he said. It's totally, it's one of those positions that, you know what, how in the world can that actually work? You're thinking to yourself here, this move actually wins. It's a double exclam. Rook takes. See, if rook took here, then that rook would take. So you're actually winning here, and you're getting your piece back, and you have the basically initiative, the attack. H4. And you're going to start mobilizing your forces much better. Yeah. G4 is a is a very strong move. Let's see, how are we doing here? See, how much time do we have? Let's see, perfect. Okay. Do you have any questions on this? Or any questions on any of the Ding Lauren ones? Did you have any questions on that? No questions, okay. Well then, with that, I think I'm probably going to say adieu on this one. Because I went through all my information, I don't have really any more left to go over. So, with that, alright. Well, I wanted to thank y'all for logging on, participating in our new kind of setup. We're going to try to be more interactive with information like puzzles, because I do like doing the puzzles on chess.com and LHS, but you lose something when you don't actually get to move them and talk about them, and you get to read why the moves are there. You do learn kind of an instinct of combinations, pins, skewers, but to be able to understand the question why is always important, and to hear it from the author themselves why they picked that tactic is a vital thing as well. And you get to learn specifically an area of a tactic. So it's a deeper learning. It's fun to do the tactics, I know, to build up our rating, but you know what? Sometimes you have to dig deeper like a chess cruncher would. And remember, we have to look at what what would Bruce Lee say? There are no limits, so we have to push our limits. There are plateaus, and we must not stay there. We must go beyond them, and that's what we're doing with studying our information here and going over them and reading about it, going over the games of players who are. Jeremy Silman said you can learn from any level of players, especially in some of these magazines. The games that are played are very insightful on how young upcoming players actually think. So it'll teach you and get your mind right on how they think, so that when you sit down and play, you'll kind of know what direction to push the position to. Like what Grandmaster Yazir Sarawan says, every long journey begins with one small step. So our small step is we do our work. We keep pushing forward, and we just keep trotting along, getting better and improving the chest cruncher way. You know what? We become what we think about. So what if you think negative thoughts that you can't do it and man, this is hard and all this stuff, then you won't be able to find that move. But if you believe that the Lord has given you a gift and that you work hard enough, you can acquire your goal, my friends. Bruce Lee said that he feared. I fear not the man. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 individual kicks, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. So you can also put in there. A chess player shouldn't fear somebody who has practiced like individual puzzles, but they should fear a chess player who has practiced precise puzzles that are honed to tournament play. That's a fear. That's a chess player that should be feared, because they know exactly what to look at, what to laser like, and what moves to sacrifices, pins, and all that to set up for a win. That's fearful. That's a scary thing when you get a full-rounded chess player like that. But like you know what, when we solve those forcing moves and those puzzles and we work together as a team, we get to treasure our victories. And when we pick the moves that don't go along with our opponent with what's in the book, we learn from them. And that's what Tom Thumb Thumb told Tango in Mission Critical. Treasure your victories and learn from your losses. And remember that yes, it's a mistake, but it doesn't define you. It's how you handle it. Do you get back in that boat and try again? And get on that keyboard and say, huh, or look at that board and go, so that's not the right answer. What would be the right answer? Okay, I see it, this, and this. Then you put it in, and then the whole Chess Cruncher community can enjoy your notation and your participation. It's always welcome. And you know what? The whole point of the Chess Cruncher forum that the Lord made was that we can improve in chess and in the strength of the Lord always. Let's see. Yeah, and Bruce Lee said, knowing is not enough, you must apply. Willing is not enough, you must do. So we have to take what we know, which is our puzzles, apply and our, like the tactics, pins, skewers, forks, decoys, and piece sacrifices, and then apply them to the puzzle at hand, and you'll be able to find those double exclam moves. And then you have to be willing, which that means is you have to look at the board and actually focus and find it. And then once you put your fingers to the keyboard and you type in, you're doing what Bruce Lee says. You're doing it. You're working it. You're going to improve, and you're going to be happy when you sit down over the board and you've done your work. Because you know what? The time's going to come when you have to sit down on the other side of your opponent. And you either have done your work and you will be able to see what your opponent's doing, or you haven't and you'd lose. So it wouldn't be fun. But remember what Rusty says. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Either way, you're right. And as from Chess Cruncher, don't give up, get up. That's my quote. And let me see. Oh yeah, if when you're studying and most are playing and do other stuff when they should be doing their studies, and they ask you to come over, remember, you can always say to yourself, I'm a chess cruncher. Chess crunchers hang up their coat, they hang up their hat, they sit down and study when most won't. Chess crunchers do, and that makes all the difference. And as Wesley So says through the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless. I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. and we'll keep pushing forward on learning tactics, forcing moves, positional, actually exploiting small positional advantages, and I'll bring a end game with me too, so we'll have the full meal deal, and we'll even do a game from one of the articles. So 2 thumbs up. Go Team Chess Cruncher, hoorah! Be blessed, and always keep pushing forward. Great job. Oh, and I wanted to thank you, Play the Grub, for the game. 2 thumbs up on that. Really great game. Go Team Chess Cruncher. Bye bye. Be blessed.